But we have 9 now, because there's a murder.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, before we go ahead and start to settle down, we'll try to get this party started.
We have a sign-up sheet.
We have a sign-up sheet on the table in front. We have 5 measures on our agenda this afternoon. Five measures on the agenda: SB 20, SB 85, SB 149, SB 180, and SB 193. Okay, we're going to go ahead because we do. Everybody has places to be this afternoon. These are we're hearing about the bills for the first time, and then we'll have the authors back if and as needed. With that, Senator Kirkpatrick, are you ready to tell us about your proposition? Wherever you please. If you'd like to sit, I'll turn on that microphone. If you'd like to stand, I'll turn that one on. Senator, tell us about Senate Bill 20.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I've got LC 610138S. Okay, so this bill is an attempt to help with the shortage of veterinarians practicing in shelter medicine and nonprofit pet sterilization clinics around the state. It incentivizes vets that specialize in this area by providing service cancelable loans in exchange for 3 years of designated practice. There's a backlog of spay and neuter procedures that's resulted in excessive wait times at shelters and clinics. This exacerbates pet overpopulation and has resulted in a doubling of shelter intake and euthanasia since 2021. Recent wait times are 2 to 4 months on average, and many animals get pregnant while they're waiting. This creates a public safety issue in our counties. Shelter medicine and nonprofit vet sterilization programs are at a disadvantage in recruiting and retention of vets due to financial constraints. Vets in general often come out of training with significant debt, the mean about $185,000, and vets who work in this setting have incomes about 30% lower than private practice. The awards would be consistent with other service cancelable loans at $25,000 per year of service after time served, up to 3 years, with a total of 4 awards the first year, subject to appropriations. I've been working for several months with the Commissioner of Agriculture, the Georgia Veterinary Medical Association, the Veterinary Board on this issue, in order to start this program without growing government by creating another board or taking anything away from the existing food animal program that's in existence. I greatly appreciate the collaboration that resulted in this substitute bill, and the bill is a start on improving public safety and the health and safety of animals in our state by prevention of inadvertent litters and more overcrowding and resultant euthanasia in our shelters. Section 1 of the bill has the definitions. Section 2 allows for a committee of the existing veterinary education board that outlines the qualifications that are needed for the 2 people that would be added to the committee. And of course, this is in the Department of Agriculture, and then that committee would make recommendations to the full board. It also makes it clear that the appropriations for this program and the food animal program are separate. Section 3 outlines the loan program structure and requirements. I would prefer no amendments because it's been a long process getting everybody on the same page, and with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Are there questions for the senator? Anybody have questions? Number 27, is that you, Representative Scoggins? Yes, you're recognized.
Thank you, Senator, for the bill. This is a very similar bill that we did a while back with Representative David Huddleston, who did it for large animal vets. And so this is very similar to what he did, and we passed out of here a couple of weeks ago. Is that right, Mr. Chairman?
The structure is similar, yes, sir.
Yes,
The intent, we're working in a completely different area.
Right. Oh,
Yes,
I know
sir.
that. I know that.
But structure is similar, yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you for the bill.
Number 12. Yes.
I'll waive right now.
Number 23, Carter Barrett. Vice Chairman of the Committee, Carter Barrett. I'm sorry, that's not you. It's I was down one more. Representative Edna, yes, ma'am.
Thank you very much, Mr.
Edna
Chairman. That's okay. Well, thank you very much. I am a little concerned because we have another bill that has been brought to us, and it involves veterinarians, and it involves research that can be done. Can you tell me why would there be an objection to not attaching this bill to the bill that you have presented? I think what you have presented is a good bill, but why not, instead of someone having to come back and forth, that this will fit in to exactly what you are talking about now. When I read your material and I read the representative's materials, it seems like a natural fit. Have you been able to talk to anyone about adding that as an amendment to that bill?
Senator, I'm going to let you answer that quickly, and then we'll keep us moving along.
Okay, if you're talking about the veterinary tech bill, yes, I heard about that bill at 12 o'clock today, and not before that. And so I don't have time to go back and be sure that everyone's on board with that bill, because I don't know what the process was for vetting, no pun intended, that bill. And so I'd prefer to find another way to get that bill done, and I'm happy to help with that. But I would like for this bill to be final passage because of the amount of work that's been done over several months.
Well, I'm gonna. The senator did call and let me know about the timing of that. This is a hearing only, so we'll have that to be taken over, and you'll have. I mean, I hear what you're saying today on it. I'm not lobbying you to change your mind, but we don't have to address that in its completion today. Number 26 is that. Representative Gamble.
Thank you, Chairman. And I apologize, I may have missed this earlier. Is this large and small animal?
Not unless you have large animals that are in animal homeless shelters.
Well, there's already an existing program for food animals.
Okay.
And
Thank
this
you.
adds shelter medicine and pet sterilization services.
Carter Barrett, the Vice Chairman of the Committee. Representative Barrett.
Thank you, Senator. Georgia Student Finance Corporation, are they administering the loan forgiveness program, or is that?
Let me try to help with that. That's going to be administered the same way that the vet board would select, and they would tell the student finance who to pay.
Exactly.
Just
Thank
to
you.
keep us moving. Number 4.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Rosa Clark, yes.
The amount, the $25,000, where did that amount come from? Is that just based on the average student loan that is taken out by these individuals? Just very curious.
Yes, it's consistent with the other service cancelable loan programs that we have.
So, follow up, Mr. Chair. So do you have an idea of about how much it normally takes for an individual to get this degree and I guess work in this field? Is there a ballpark about how much they usually spend on their education?
Well, what I can tell you without digging through all my papers is that they typically are going to come out of vet school with almost $200,000 worth of debt.
Thank you.
Representative Jackson, did you have something else? Is it Representative Dickey?
Thank
sorry.
you, Mr. Chairman, and I want to apologize for coming in late. This might be redundant. So do we have funding for this?
It's subject to appropriations. We're asking for the first year funding of $100,000.
All right, we've worked several years to get funding for the large animal rural vet program, and that is in place, I think. But I just want to make sure that we have not made appropriations funding for this.
Not yet, but we made, of course, the bill would have to pass first, but we did make it very clear in the bill that the appropriations would be separate for this than from the food animal program.
May I ask one more question?
Yes, sir.
So we're going to send, I know nothing about veterinary medicine. I do, but we're going to send somebody through years of veterinary medicine and just to sterilize dogs and cats. Is that what
Well-
we're talking about here, a full-time person, veterinarian, to just sterilize dogs and cats?
Well, the veterinarian certainly might work in more than one area, but there are people who are interested in shelter medicine as a specialty within veterinary medicine. And right now, the counties they're in dire straits, and they're footing the bill for the whole thing.
I agree with that, and I'm certainly supportive of sterilization program, but I just was wondering if someone with lesser credentials could do that same procedure.
I don't think I'd get into veterinary scope of practice conversation right now, but I know there are people who work for nonprofits that do this type of work as well, and they'd be eligible for the program.
Last question. No, she waves. Okay, that is all the questions we have for you today, Senator. I'll give you. I have a couple, but I'll take them offline with you and work directly with you if that, just in the interest of time. So, thank you for coming.
Thank you.
And we'll move on to the second item. Senator Heckman, you have arrived. Yes, sir. Senator Heckman, tell us about your proposition. Keep in mind, we are trying to get 5 of y'all done before 2 o'clock.
Well, I appreciate it. Thank you, sir. I appreciate it, Mr. Chairman, you hearing our bill today. Our bill is a bill that's definitely a workforce development bill, and it was a bill that actually was passed by the Senate and the House last year and vetoed by the governor. Governor's office made a couple suggestions, and we made those changes, and I'll mention that in a minute. So this is Senate Bill 149, and it is mine is LC 492116. Is that? Yes, sir. Is that correct? Oh, thank you, sir. Okay. This bill is Georgia Tuition Equalization Grant Program, and that program encourages Georgia residents to attend eligible private colleges in Georgia by aiding towards educational costs. This was created in 1971. This is a non-needs-based scholarship for Georgia students that currently provides $550 per semester and $367 per quarter to Georgia students. Currently, we have 32 colleges in Georgia that qualify for the Tuition Equalization Grant Program. Senate Bill 149 would keep the rigorous requirements for qualified institutions, but allow the program to serve more students as the workforce demands of the Georgia economy grow. Senate Bill 149 would allow for newly qualified four-year college institution students to participate in the TEG program. The college or university must be accredited by the Schools Commission on Colleges as a level 6 institution. This is the highest level of accreditation and is only awarded to the colleges with the highest ethics and practices in Georgia. As I stated earlier, sir, this bill was passed by the Senate last year and expanded a little bit by the House. The governor vetoed the bill, but the governor's office has assured us that the governor will sign this bill in its present form. Through consultation with the Georgia Student Finance Commission, we believe that the current level of appropriation is sufficient, and Ms. Lynn Riley is here today, if we got any questions about that, to support this slight adjustment in the program. As Georgia grows, it only makes sense that we need support quality educational options for our best and brightest here at home. And that is the bill, sir.
Thank you. Senator, you have a couple of questions. Representative Bernal, to your left.
I just have one question. Who determined what colleges would qualify?
Well, the college, of course, it has to be the college must be accredited by the Southern Association of College and Schools Commission on Colleges as a level 6 institution.
Okay, is that the only accreditation agency that you're using?
That
Well,
is,
if I can, Senator,
Please,
just to
sir.
help us out here, the colleges that fit in this, there's several that we've had for the TEG. If the committee remembers, we had that last year. The paragraph that the gentleman is working in today, 2B(i), is being modified in order to include the institution that the senator has for the bill, but there are other specific requirements that have to be met for proprietary and non-proprietary that are also in that division.
Okay, I understand that, but my question again is, are there other accreditation issues? When we had some issues with our accreditation, I don't really like to talk about it in Clayton County, and they were using the Southern Association of Colleges and School Commission of Colleges. We were able to use another accreditation agency here in Georgia, so that's why I'm asking the question.
I
To
answer
answer that, there are other accreditation agencies in different portions of this bill. For this section, for this paragraph, it would be the Southern Association of Colleges and Schools Commission on Colleges as a level 6 institution. There are other accreditation agencies that are spoken to in TEG that aren't before us today, that we've had before us in the past, and we could ask President Riley back to speak to those in a general sense. If the lady will remember, we actually had a bill last year that tried to straighten out what I refer to as a bit of a spaghetti logic in the selection of those accrediting agencies, but we failed to get consensus to move that forward because the language is so complicated.
I understand what you're saying, but once again, I'm asking because if there are some other colleges that have used can this bill be amended to use since we already said the governor's going to sign it, are there other accrediting agencies that can be added if you took an amendment? That's all I'm asking.
Well, from our conversation with the governor's office, they want the bill to stay like it is.
Okay, thank you. That's all I need to know.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Representative Clark.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you for bringing the bill. Question: how many new institutions would now become eligible for TEG if this bill were to be passed and signed by the governor?
I don't know that exact number, but I do know in the bill it says that the school must be located in this state before January 1, 2021, but I do not know that number.
Thank you. Further question.
Yes.
So if we don't know the number of new institutions, I'm thinking about the appropriation process and how there's a certain budget line item for the tuition equalization grant. And we are basically voting on a bill that would open this up to more schools, I believe, but we don't know how many schools, therefore we don't know how many students, therefore we don't know if we are, how much of the pool is being adjusted, the pool of potential applicants for this tuition equalization grant is being adjusted. And if so, is there a concern that we might need to appropriate more funds in the budget specifically for TEG to accommodate the increase in the number of students that might be now eligible so that these students are going to still have access to this grant?
Right. Would you mind if I ask Ms. Lynn Riley to come up here? Because we've actually had some conversations about that. Ms. Riley? I know she's behind that big wall, here she is.
That is the hand, right?
Representative Clark, thank you for the question. If I could clarify, you're asking whether there's sufficient money available today for an institution that would be eligible under this proposal for us to be able to make awards?
Yeah, so the first question was how many new institutions, and since we weren't clear on that number, my next question was, is there a concern that by opening it up that there would increase the pool of potential applicants, and is there enough money appropriated to make sure that all those applicants have access to the grant?
Thank you for that clarification. To our knowledge, there is only one institution that would apply to all of these parameters in this bill as it is before you today. We have done a fiscal estimate on this bill, and for tuition equalization grants, we estimate a first-year need of $1.7 million. We believe we have sufficient funds that have been contemplated in the FY26 bill to provide for that without concern.
Thank you.
Thank you for the question.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Is this the 10 years prohibiting other institutions who are filling our labor market from filling our labor market if the institution doesn't meet that 10-year requirement?
I don't think it's doing that. Again, as long if they meet the accreditation process and have been here, if they were here in 21, I don't think it inhibits that.
May I further? So if a school has been in existence for 5 years and they are filling our most needed labor market, they don't qualify for this. Is that correct?
They also have to be accredited by the Southern Association of Colleges and Schools Commission on College as level 6 school.
So no, they won't be covered, right, President Raleigh?
That's right.
Oh, all right.
Thank you, ma'am.
Representative Glade.
Thank you so much, Senator
Morning.
Hickman, for bringing the bill. I do have a question for
Yes, ma'am.
President Riley. When we look at our Georgia State Board of Cosmetology and Barbers, does this exclude them from getting the TEG grant as previous?
Thank you for that question. We have not reviewed that particular institution, but they would need to meet all criteria besides what is being changed with Chairman Hickman's bill. And it is an extensive list of other criteria that must be met.
And so, do you mind if I ask for a follow-up question? Okay. We already have the standards for the state to have a cosmetology and a barber school at this point authorized to operate in the state, and they have been receiving TEG grants. They're part of the economic structure of the state, and I think their students would be harmed if they are no longer able to receive the TEG grants. That's an industry.
No, allow me, if I can remember, to bring us back on this. This is not taking anything away from
Okay.
anyone. I hear the lady.
That's what
you've
we
been
were
you've
trying
been
to
very
find
good
out.
about that, and I appreciate you bringing that point. And perhaps I should have done that earlier. This is not taking anything away.
Okay.
This is adding
to.
For an institution. And
Okay,
I have
thank you so much.
I have received mail, and I'm sure you've received email this morning about schools that want to be added, and we will be back here next year if they wish to make a case.
Yes, sir.
At that time for that, we would hear it at
Okay.
that time. Yes, ma'am.
At the appropriate time.
Thank
Okay,
you.
thank you so much. Thank you.
Representative, we'll try to go here. Let me go to Whip Park.
Thank
yes,
you,
sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Chairman Hickman, let me also say thank you for your other bill earlier today, and Industry and Labor, which I thought was just an excellent bill. With these pieces of legislation, we've certainly worked with representatives on this committee to ensure that it is very narrowly tailored to ensure fiscal responsibility. Is it not true that again, I think Commissioner Riley said that this would apply to only one institution. Now that institution, similar to legislation that we passed out of this committee, would also help specifically increase our nurses in the state of Georgia. Is that true?
Yes, sir. That's very, very true. Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Whip Park. Senator, you don't have any. Well, we have one more. Last question, Representative Burnell.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So, Representative Whip Park. So, is this bill for that particular school? Is that the school that we're writing this bill for it to include the nursing school?
I don't know if we can say it's that particular school, but that school does qualify for this bill.
Okay. Well, the only reason I ask that is if our goal is to increase, workers and have people to have skills and trades, I think that it would serve our communities better if we were just a little bit more open to other schools because, as they stated, because we all have received the email about the cosmetology school, and cosmetologists, they go through a lot of training to get those certificates. And they have to have certain skills in science and all math and all different classes. So I just think we should be a little bit more open, not just to tailor it towards one particular school. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. You have no further questions, Senator Hickman. If you'd just like to sit there, and I'm going to ask Ms. Tiffany Walker.
Thank you.
If you would like, or you can hang there. Ms. Walker, are you here? Yes, ma'am. If you, we'll let you come over to the podium, and we'll call the senator back.
Good morning, afternoon.
Yes, ma'am.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. My name is Tiffany Walker, and I'm here today to speak on behalf of private cosmetology, barber, nail technology, and aesthetic schools, as well as Style Mob University, a nationally accredited cosmetology school and career development. I appreciate the opportunity to speak with you today in the exclusion of nationally accredited private cosmetology schools from SB 149. And why state-level support is critical for our industry and Georgia workforce. The beauty industry is more than just hair, nails, and skin. It is essential to Georgia economy and workforce and small business community. This profession trains at schools levels, create entrepreneurs, business owners, and job creators. They open salons, barbershops, spas, and schools that employ thousands of Georgia residents. The contribution to the economy is not only by providing services, but also paying licensing fees, business taxes, and investing in continuous education. However, excuse my nervousness. However, despite our state approval and national accreditation status, private cosmetology schools are excluded from key funding opportunities included in the tuition equalization grant up under SB 149. Additionally, the Board of Technical Colleges Systems of Georgia only funds 22 public technical schools, leaving private institutes without the support of our state. The state approval of private cosmetology schools must meet precise requirements and set by the Georgia State Board of Cosmetology, including facility inspections, curriculum standards. Our staff must have license requirements. To be on a national accredited level, we go up under an extensive evaluation, ongoing compliance performances, financial investment, and an initial accreditation fee ranging from $10,000 to $30,000, and an annual renewal fee of $5,000 or more. Despite these high demands, we receive limited support from our federal government and no support from our state, placing private school at a severe disadvantage compared to public funded institutions. This issue is especially concerning with the state of our U.S. Department of Education, which will leave private institutions without any federal funding, directly impacting aspiring beauty professionals that rely on our school for education and career development. Furthermore, Georgia requires cosmetology instructors to hold 2 licenses, a cosmetology license and an educator license. Many of our graduates go on to teach into high schools, career clusters, and workforce development programs, helping to train the next generation of beauty professionals. Yet the state does not recognize or support our very own schools that produce these educators. The bottom line is cosmetology and barber is not just a trade. They're a profession, careers, and an economic drive for Georgia. The individuals who come through our schools become small business owners, create jobs, and serve our communities. Yet they are being denied of the same opportunity that students at public technical schools receive. I am asking you to amend SB 140 to include national accredited private cosmetology schools in the tuition equalization grant and state workforce funding opportunities. Doing so will ensure fairness, recognizing private schools that meet Georgia standards, support workforce development,
helping train more licensed professionals and strengthen Georgia economy by investing in entrepreneurs, business owners, and job creators in the beauty industry. I urge you, committee, to level the playing field and allow our students and our schools the same opportunity state support their peers in public technical schools. Thank you for your time and consideration in this important issue. I look forward to answering any questions.
Thank you. We're going to have to move on. Ms. Walker, I appreciate this. I will say this, I've chaired this committee for 5 years, and I've never heard this brought up until this morning. I know I do hear a lot about cosmetology in my membership with regulated industries, but we'll be glad there's members of the committee that can work with you if you wish to bring a bill, in the future. So thank you very much. I would like to move on. President Brown, do you have something pressing that you need to? I'll allow it but we have other items. Yes, ma'am.
Is it not true that when the governor started opening up businesses after COVID, that he did open up hair salons in the beginning?
Yes, he did.
Okay, thank you.
And we appreciate it, and I take nothing away from what you're saying. I'm just saying it's 5 years. This is my 5th year as chair here. I have not heard that ask for TEG, and this is the first to do it. Senator, I'm not even going to ask you if you have anything further, because we need to move on, and you've made a good presentation. We will get with you and bring you back at the appropriate time. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, committee members.
Senator Brass.
Chair. Good job.
Which item do you prefer? 180 or 193?
I thought, is it 85 or 193?
I'm sorry, yes, sir. It is one, unless you want to do Senator Dixon's for him. So it'd be 85 or 193. Yes, sir.
You pick. I'm ready for both.
Let's do 85.
You got it. All right. So this is the Georgia Foster Care Scholarship Act, and just simply put, it provides a framework by which the General Assembly can fund scholarships for young people or young adults who've been in the Georgia foster care system as children, and it supplements other available sources such as federal grants and the Hope Scholarship to ensure that these young people can cover not only tuition but also other necessary costs of higher education, like books, fees, housing, and a meal plan. So I can get more detail if you like, or we can ask.
I like your approach thus far, Senator. I'm sure you are dedicated to this bill and can tell us a lot about it. But the interest of time,
I can. We can go line by line, or
no, sir. We're going to let you brag about it when you come back the second time, if you do that. But
okay.
Or if you'll come back to us, Senator Representative Glaze has a question for you.
I have want to say thank you so much, Senator Brass, for bringing this bill. I've heard in my community for the last 6 months of the need for us to focus in on this group of members of our society in Georgia in particular. So what I wanted to ask is, the scholarship is more than just tuition. You named a couple of things, but it includes the lifestyle and needs of college students as they are attending. Can you speak a little to that and why that was added in? I think it's amazing, but would you mind speaking to that?
Yeah, I mean, so, these kids are really transitioning from the system to out of the system, and we really just kind of wanted to make sure that we're making that transition smooth, because the whole idea is to get them on the road to success, and outside of direct cost of school and other things, there's the indirect costs that come with it, and we just wanted to be able to help them with those types of things. That anything that we can do as a state to give them a great foundation for success in life. That's what we're trying to do.
Thank you for bringing this.
Absolutely. Thank you for all you do.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I love that you're doing this. I appreciate the focus on this particular population, as I do think that access to education is really important. My question is grades. How does it work as far as like eligibility? Is there a GPA requirement? And is there anything that, you know, any reason why this could be technically taken away? Like, is there or does someone decide those?
No, I mean, if you look, so your eligibility, it's in section 1 there under, I guess, part 2. And I probably don't have the right LC I'm looking at, so it might be a little different, but on page 2, your eligibility requirements are there, and I don't believe grades are part of it. Now, when you get into, you know, if hope is included, then that's certainly, that portion would be, but this is a little bit separate, so.
Senator Russ, isn't it true that basically if you're progressing in your college and your college keeps you in school, that this would continue to pay?
That's
Is that
correct.
true?
Yes, sir.
So basically, if you're right, if you don't, I hate to use the term flunk out, but if you don't fail to proceed, I guess would be the only way that the funding wouldn't continue.
Correct. If you didn't have a school for there to be a scholarship, then there would be no need for that scholarship.
All right, thank you.
What part?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Senator Brass, likewise, greatly appreciate the bill. Do we know about how many students this would benefit, and has there been an appropriations provided?
I do not. Tom, do you mind if I bring up, Tom can probably answer some of the detailed stuff.
An attorney?
He is.
Yes.
And we'll just remember that we don't
yes,
attorney yet. We're just getting right to the
Chairman,
fact. Yes, sir. I'm just joking with you.
Right now, about $750 a year qualify in general for post foster care services, so it'd be a subset of those. And I understand we do have an appropriation. I was not part of that, but
I haven't seen the I'm not on appropriations, so I usually don't get to see the budget till it gets to the floor, so.
That should be changed.
But I have been told it's in there.
Okay, thank you. Hope to see it in there.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for your support.
Yes, hello there. Thank you so much. I can't see you, but
there
you're
you
over
are.
there. As a foster parent myself, I'm really excited about this. And so the question I have is that when it says here on page 2, line 32, within 3 years of receiving their high school diploma or state equivalent. So this means that this is by the time they are 22. I'm trying to look at you and talk, but I can't see you. Okay.
Sorry. There we go.
There you go. Okay, so if way goes on, I think the new law is that they get to stay in foster care or re-sign themselves back in when they're 18. Excuse me. Don't worry, we just had to look at each other. So that's at 18, and if they sign themselves back in, would they be able to utilize this up until they are 22? Oh my goodness.
Well, yes, unless, if they graduate high school, say at age
Later.
20,
But this is why I say if way goes
23.
on.
So I think the idea there is, from an appropriation standpoint, it would be hard to figure out how much money if you had, let's say everybody waited, let's just say it was open-ended, and you had a bunch of foster kids that waited, and then all of a sudden they all come at the same time, you could end up it would just be tough to figure out how much money would be needed in that fiscal year, is I believe part of the purpose of that.
But isn't it true that they can stay in custody until they're 26? Like average people could stay, kids can stay on their parents' insurance till they're 26?
yes, ma'am, there's age 21, and then there are other benefits that they may get, including some of these benefits up to age 25 or 26, depending on the program.
Can you expound on that? The other benefits?
So yes, ma'am. So there's an independent living program, which is up to age 21, sometimes a little further in some situations, Medicaid to age 26, Fostering Success Act services to age 25 if everything goes well this year, and this, of course, up to age 26. So I'm happy to get with the details with you offline.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for bringing this bill. Just a clarification on 78, line 78. It states complete a simplified application process. What is a simplified application process for these students? And then I have a question after that as well.
Got that?
Yeah, I mean,
Thanks for me. We know the FAFSA is a pain in the neck. Everybody agrees with that. So we're trying to sort of, Ms. Lynn Riley and her group will come up hopefully with a simpler way to do this. We do want some means tested, so to speak, not necessarily for the young person, but to see what other kind of Pell Grants, HOPE, et cetera, they're getting. So we're hoping to simplify that process.
Okay, can I follow-up question, please? On line 89, what is the total? Is there a max at what we're able to give these students, or we're just going to cover everything?
I mean, we're covering the cost. I mean, that's the cost of the tuition, the cost of the books, the fees, all that.
So it doesn't matter what school they go to or how much it costs, we're just going to cover it?
That's correct.
All right.
It must be a Georgia school. To point, little clarification, it does have to be a Georgia public school. It can't, or private. I'm sorry. It has to be a Georgia school.
Basically, it has to be a school that's eligible for HOPE.
Yes.
I think if you read that in lines 26 and 27, section 20-3-519 is where the eligible schools for HOPE are defined.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Senator. We don't have any further questions. Do you have? I'm sorry. I thought that was left over from before. Representative Moore. Yes,
I'm
ma'am.
not going to belabor this any longer. I love the fact that you said, whether you're right or wrong about it, that they just pick a school and you can pay for everything. Is that correct? Is that room and board, food?
If you go back to those same lines, it says the total per semester amount of a Georgia foster care scholarship awarded to each eligible student shall not exceed the cost of the eligible student's tuition, room, board, meal plan, and books associated.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Or you had one more? Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I think what we're trying to get at is I think there is disparity between the cost of attending some schools versus other schools. For example, I work at Emory University. The cost to attend Emory University, including room and board, meal plan, is significantly more than if a student went to like University of North Georgia, which I think is one of our schools that boast being very economical and very, not costing as much. And so how are we going to make sure that we do appropriate when there's no like boundaries or guardrails? And I'm not saying, I would love for these students to have access to Emory just as much as they have access to a smaller public university, but I'm just wondering about the process of appropriation. There needs to be some or do you disagree?
So very briefly, it's not my expertise, but for example, if you fill out the FAFSA form for Emory, based on your fact that you're a former foster child, you'll probably get a lot of financial aid. And so we're going to deduct all the other financial aid. This is to carry them over the top, to make sure they can stay in school. And if you get into Emory, more power to you.
All right, thank you.
Okay, now we have no further questions. We had no speakers on the item. So, Senator, we're going to let you take that one, and we'll move on to 193.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Senate Bill 193 is our Georgia Adult Workforce Diploma Program. Simply, purpose of this legislation is it creates a framework for an adult workforce diploma program. It provides adults aged 21 to 40 the opportunity to complete their accredited high school diploma and develop critical employability and career and technical skills to prepare for employment. And this bill should not be a stranger to this committee. It came through last year. There was some language that was added on a different type of program, but after kind of the same market. And I think there was a little bit of disagreement on that piece. This piece seemed to have more broad support, and so we've brought it back, and we've kept it just this piece instead of the secondary piece that was
Yes, sir.
added.
If the senator allows, I'll remind the committee, we had we had a bill that was specifically geared toward a vendor that was more of a build-a-school, pay for seat time. And if you remember, the committee worked on that bill very hard last year and really went to a model similar to what the senator is bringing us, maybe almost exactly like the senator is bringing us this year. And that's what we actually passed out of committee last year. So the senator has passed in the Senate and is bringing us back a, if you will, I believe I would phrase this correct, Senator, this is a bit of a paper for performance thing. They have to have graduates to get paid along as they go, do they not?
Yeah, I don't necessarily like to. Outcome-based is probably a better way to put it. The bill does get into the fee structure. They kind of, it's heavy weighted towards the back end of where they receive a bulk of the money. They get some of their upfront costs in the beginning of the program. And when I say they, it's these third parties that would be running the program, but most of their payment comes as graduation levels are achieved, and so outcome based would be a good word for it. It's very similar. The technical college system, they have a program you can come back from ages 16 to 21 and get your high school diploma. And so this type of program would pick up where TCSG runs out at age 21. So this would be more for 21 to, or not more for, but it is for 21 to 40. So the two programs really could work hand in hand together. Yes. And I believe we've got several thousands of people in this that are looking to do this, like 7,000 or 8,000 folks that are looking to do this. So we're talking about a large sum of folks that are, really just wanting to go back and pick up where they left off. And so that's really simply what it does. It's there is one thing that I forgot to do in the Senate. The TCSG program is sunsets in 2031. And we did want to, this bill currently does not have a sunset on it. I don't necessarily want the sunset, but however, it would make sense for us to run it in conjunction with TCSG and sunset it at that 2031.
Yes, sir. You have a couple of questions.
Yes.
What part?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. What was that House bill? Do you recall the number?
No, sir.
Okay.
But I'll recall it before we leave the meeting today. We'll look it up for you.
Thank you, sir. I was curious. Does TCSG support the bill?
They do, and we met earlier on. One of their comments was, this is such a problem right now. There's such a big enough population right now. They're not fighting after number one, they're not fighting after the same age groups. But number two, there's such a big population of these people that need to go after the high school diploma that they will encourage anyone that wants to do the same.
I think it's a good idea. I just want to ensure, especially since we're, opening up state funds to private programs and providers, that there is some measure of control and accountability.
Right.
That would be, I think, my only comment.
Right, and the biggest accountability is on the pay structure. We're not just giving them we're not giving them a blank check. We're giving them a set amount, and that set amount is their reward comes when these students complete the program.
So they're not sorry.
Yeah, no. Well, if you'll look in the bill again, I'm working off the original, but under that section 20-4-173, that's where it kind of lays out the pay structure, and you can see in the beginning it's they get $275 in the beginning, and they get $550, and then $1,100. So I believe that was the right section.
Yes, I've got it in front of me. I think it's lines 118 to 146.
Yes. So that's the biggest accountability is on the money, saying, look, we're going to help you out in the beginning, cover a little bit of the cost, but you really until that student graduates, you don't get a bulk of that money. And there's, the power of the purse is probably the biggest accountability we can have in a situation like this.
So just to clarify, these funds would be provided to these program providers after they've demonstrated these programs have been completed, not, this is what we estimate, here's funds, and then they would be sending them back if they haven't met those requirements?
They would not receive them if the student hits checkpoints, and at that checkpoint, the company gets paid, or you could say rewarded for them doing their job, but they don't get a bulk of it until that last phase of graduation.
Okay, and then
progress payments.
Progress payment, tiered progress payments, where the biggest tier is the biggest tiers are on the back end.
Okay, and then last question, since this would be administered under TCSG, could you help me better understand kind of the funding mechanism? Are we talking Hope Grant, just an appropriations from the state?
It's all subject to appropriation. So they're working on getting appropriations on both sides, House and Senate, and they're asking for about $5 million. Okay.
Thank you.
Representative Glaze.
Senator Brass, you're hitting a home run today.
Thank you.
Senate Bill 193.
Don't give him the big head now.
Too late.
In my community, on one side, this would be extremely helpful because we had a low graduation rate in the 90s, in the late 2011 to about 2019. And so those students are out there, and something like this could actually change the trajectory of their lives and their family. I do like that we have the opportunity to put in the guardrails with the pay as you progress. But what I also like that you put in the bill is the fact that these approved programs shall report annually. Correct. On the success and the outcomes. Thank you so much for bringing this bill.
Correct. Thank you, Representative Glaze. And the graduation rates probably went down about the time you retired, so I know they missed you.
Look at us having a mutual opera.
But and again, I mean that kind of goes to what Representative Park, on the accountability piece. That's a big part of it. That reporting, if we're going to give anyone money in the state, we need to make sure that money is being used properly.
Chairman Dempsey.
Yeah. Thank you, Senator Brass. I just want to say thank you for bringing this forward. I know it sounds a little bit like a confusing kind of program, but it really is a clear way to help students graduate, and that's a challenge that we face in our state. And so I think it's very important. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It's one of those things I feel like we missed on this population once, and it's a second chance, not just for them, but for us as a state as well.
Thank you. You had one more, Vice Chairman of the Committee, Carter Barrett.
Yeah, Chairman Brass, I'm crazy about this bill. I think it's one of the best bills.
I'm telling
I've
you,
seen.
giving him the big
Man,
one again on this.
you know,
I really do, for precise
you
reasons.
think you got a bill and rules or something.
I know.
Not yet.
You don't have to do that. You don't have to do it yet.
But it really is a part of the population, I think, to your point just now, that's really overlooked. My question, I guess, is how are we going to get the word out to let this great big population know that it's available to them? And I guess the onus will be on TCSG to help do that.
I think these third-party companies that would be running it, I think it's going to be on them as well. But through social media and other platforms, there's there's ways to get to them. They're in today's world, everybody's identifiable for anything, and so this population of folks are easily identifiable, and and a lot of them will come to us, or come to these companies. They've been out there for however many years trying to make it in the world, and this is, and I think a lot of them are realizing that they missed out, and they need to go back and get this to help them get to whatever the next step in their life is, and so yes, I thank you for the comments.
Thank you.
Well, Senator, you don't have any further questions, so just let me say something. So everybody else has made you feel really good. I have some pause with your thing. We may have to work and see how Senate rules. I'm joking with you, Senator. I do appreciate it. Appreciate you giving us the latitude to let a couple of your fellow senators go early today.
Oh, absolutely.
And being willing to come see us at 1 o'clock. Thank you very much. We'll get with you and have you back.
Well, I was hoping I could just hang out and y'all just keep making me feel good.
Well, we can do that too. I mean, Chairman Dixon's about to give us an awesome presentation of House Bill 180. So if you'd like
Well,
to,
I'm sure he'll do a great
stay
job
and
without me.
support your fellow senator, we'll do that. Thank you very much, Senator Brass.
Thank you.
Senator
Thank
Dixon,
y'all.
come forward, and I assure you it's no indication of your bill, but I am required to be in a different place. So I'm going to turn the meeting over to our capable Vice Chairman, Carter Barrett, and if they don't say good things about you, it's not my fault. You just have to work on them because they appear to be an easy crowd today. Give the Vice Chairman just a moment to settle in, and then he'll let you go.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would be careful at stroking the Rules Chairman's ego too much. We're going to have to widen the door that he comes in before he starts his meetings. I'm aware of that.
Chairman Dixon, Senate Bill 180, please take it away.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Committee members, thank you for allowing me to bring SB 180 before you today. It has to do with our high-demand apprenticeship programs here in the state of Georgia. The high-demand apprenticeship programs initially was created by SB 379 in 2022. The purpose of the program was to incentivize apprenticeship sponsors to establish new growth in existing registered apprenticeship programs in the state. Last year, under Chairman Hickman's leadership, the program was amended to make improvements to it. The high-demand apprenticeship program has successfully supported industries around the state to encourage new apprenticeship programs in high-demand fields such as construction, electrician, HVAC. In essentially what the bill, the only change to it is currently you got to have an employer sponsor, and then you're linked up with your school. This would essentially, the only change to it, it would allow the apprenticeship sponsor to sponsor. So the high demand apprenticeship program could sponsor the student. And the reason, the need for it is, students may know one or two business owners, and those businesses are allowed to only have up to 10 apprenticeships or apprentice on an annual basis. And this would allow these schools would have a large list of companies that they could match up the student with. So it just makes it more accessible. Is simply what the bill does. But with that, Mr. Chairman, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Very good, sir. Thank you for that explanation. Do we have any questions for the chairman? Whip Park.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Senator Dixon, as I was just looking up this code section, it says that 24-151 that it will be repealed effective July 1st, 2027. It'd be great if someone from DCSG was here to kind of provide an update as well. But one, I mean, I think it's a very important program, this employer apprentice program. But essentially, if this stands to be repealed in 2027, is this just going to be kind of a limited expansion by adding the term apprenticeship sponsor?
Yeah, so, what I would, like I said, again, the issue is creating more accessibility to it currently with the program, because right now the student has got to find an employer to sponsor. This would allow the high demand apprenticeship program, the program actually to sponsor the student. And like I said earlier, the reason for that is, you may have students that have limited access to these companies, and the companies can only have 10 apprentices. So, being able to open that up, the program could help link those students up, and that's simply all the bill does.
Is apprenticeship sponsor defined anywhere in state code? As to like who would be eligible, or like are there any parameters there?
I mean, if you
happy to talk offline as well.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, but in the title of the bill, it talks about the high demand apprenticeship program tied to TCSG.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Governor's Floor Leader, Gamble. Representative Jackson.
Yeah, in reading this, I saw where through the technical college system of Georgia, but there are other apprenticeship programs where young people are going into. Have you ever considered thinking about the unions that are providing apprenticeship programs in any way?
I'm sorry, say that again.
Have you ever thought about considering the union technical programs, apprenticeship programs that they have? Mm-hmm. Or are you strictly sticking to the university, the technical colleges of Georgia?
Yeah, that is what this bill, deals with. But we're happy to work with you on that. Yeah, I mean, I personally think that these apprenticeship programs, especially in these high demand fields where we've got need for more folks with these skills in our state, I think that expanding that would be, very beneficial. One example, if you go to the technical college to become an electrician, it's a 2-year program. If you go through the high demand apprenticeship program, it's a 4-year process, same schooling, but you're employed, you're earning an income. By the time you come out of the 4-year program, on the electrician side, you're earning in the mid-70s. $70,000 a year, and you've also, with your certificate and the experience you have, you could, that the student could open up their own business at that point as well.
Okay, thank you. I always look at some of these programs.
Okay, Whip Park, you had a question?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just as a follow-up to the governor's floor leader, as well as the legislative council, who shared with me the definition of apprenticeship sponsor in state code, that does make clear that these are apprenticeship programs that are registered and approved by the U.S. Department of Labor Office and Apprenticeship. Again, appreciate the clarification and the opportunity to get a better understanding of the bill. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Representative Stinson.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Senator Dixon, for presenting House Senate Bill 180. And my words are mostly a comment. I don't know if you're aware, but I'm in the funeral industry, and this is a serious comment. I just hope as we continue to talk about careers in high demand, that we also consider funeral directors. That is certainly an industry that is very important to this state. I know that's a subject a lot of people don't like to talk about, but it is a very important subject and it's an important industry. And I just hope as we go forward with legislation such as yours that we think of that industry as we work toward legislation in this regard. Thank you.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more, Representative. Thank you for that comment.
Okay, we don't have any more questions. We do have some people who want to speak on the bill. Today is Mr. Porak, or Ms. Porak. How are you?
Hey, how you doing?
You can. That's fine.
Are you not coming?
Where's the mic?
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Masa Porak. I'm CEO and owner of Southern Electric Company. We are a commercial electrical contractor located in Alpharetta. I also sit on the board of directors of the Independent Electrical Contractors Association, which is a merit shop association for electrical contractors like myself around the state. Niall Dawson is the executive director of our association. He's been the executive director for 30 years now. We're both very excited to be here in support of Senate Bill 180 and excited about the potential to partner with the state and the technical college system of Georgia to help address the construction workforce issue that we have here. Workforce is my biggest challenge as an employer, and it's difficulty not just in hiring electricians, but at every single level of my business. So for employees of mine to be successful project managers or estimators or general superintendents, they have to have field experience. Time spent in a classroom over the course of a number of years, unfortunately, does not prepare people to work for me and then subsequently manage lower level people, newer electricians in the field to help them problem solve and learn all that they need to do. So registered apprenticeship programs like the one that we offer at the IEC are very vital. It is the pathway for me to be able to develop my workforce in my company. The IEC apprenticeship program combines the technical knowledge and the work hours required. So there's 144 hours of classroom instruction every year and 2,000 on-the-job hours that they receive in on-the-job training hours. So when they complete the program, they have 8,000 hours and they have the requirements necessary to sit for the Georgia Electrical Contractors Licensing Exam, and they could start a business like my dad did, which led me to be here today. So it's very important that we support apprenticeship programs like this. It's not just for electricians. This would be for any type of skilled trade that is eligible for the high demand apprenticeship program, which is a pretty vast program. There's a lot of people that in different industries that can apply for that funding. But it's very important that we help support programs like ours so we can repair the broken pipeline, because currently we really don't have any pathway for people to get from high school to working for me in my company. So that's why we're here today in support of this bill.
Okay, well, thank you for your comments today. Do we have any questions for Ms. Porak or Mr. Dawson? Anyone? Thank you for your comments.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Chairman Dixon, any further comments from you, sir? Thank you for this excellent legislation.
Thank you.
That's a hearing only today, so I guess we'll look forward to seeing you again shortly.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate the time.
Thank you, sir.